It's summer 1981. Renee Hartevelt went to her classmate's house for dinner and a study session. Little did she know that her classmate would murder, mutilate, perform necrophilia, and then proceed to eat her lifeless body. Unlike many murderers, this evil man, Issei Sagawa, was concluded to be completely sane. Issei Sagawa was born on the 26th of April 1949 in Kobe, Hyogo Prefecture, in Japan, to wealthy parents. His father, Akira Sagawa, was a rich businessman who had served as president of Kurita Water Industries, and his grandfather had been an editor for the Asahi Shimbun. Sagawa was born prematurely and reportedly was small enough that he could fit in the palm of his father's hand. He immediately developed enteritis, a disease of the small intestine. Sagawa eventually recovered after several injections of potassium and calcium in saline. Sagawa's fragile health and introverted personality led him to developing a strong interest in literature. He graduated with a master's degree in English Lit at Kwansei Gakuin University. He first experienced cannibalistic desires while in the first grade, after seeing a male's thigh. In a 2011 interview with Vice, Sagawa reported that as a youth, he committed bestiality on his dog and experienced cannibalistic desires for women. At the age of 24, while attending Wako University in Tokyo, Sagawa followed a tall German woman home. He then broke into her apartment while she was sleeping. According to Sagawa himself, his intention was to eat her by slicing off part of her buttocks and sneaking away with a small part of her flesh. But she awoke and thwarted his attack. She pushed him to the ground, and Sagawa was captured by the police and charged with attempted rape. However, did not confess his true cannibalistic intentions to the authorities. Sagawa's charges of attempted rape were dropped when his rich father paid a settlement to the victim. In 1977, at the age of 28, Sagawa moved to Paris, France, to pursue a PhD in literature at the Paris Sorbonne University. Sagawa has said that while residing in Paris, and I quote, "Almost every night I would bring a prostitute home, then try to shoot them. But for some reason my fingers froze up and I could not pull the trigger." On the 11th of June 1981, 32-year-old Issei Sagawa invited his Sorbonne classmate, Renee Hartevelt, a Dutch woman, to dinner at his apartment at 10 Rue Alanga, under the pretext of translating poetry for a school assignment. Sagawa planned to kill and eat her, having selected her for her health and beauty, characteristics he felt he lacked. He claimed he wanted to absorb her energy. Sagawa, who was only 4 foot 9 inches, considered himself as weak and ugly. Renee was 5 foot 10 inches and 25 years old. When she arrived at the apartment, she began reading poetry at a desk with her back to Sagawa. He then shot her in the neck with a rifle. Sagawa said he fainted after the shock of shooting her, but awoke with the realization that he had to carry out his plan. He proceeded to rape her corpse. Sagawa attempted to bite into her skin and flesh, but was unable to as his teeth were not sharp enough. Determined to devour her, the wicked man left the apartment and purchased a butcher knife, whilst Renee laid lifeless and mutilated. Sagawa consumed various parts of Hartevelt's body, eating most of her. Breasts, face, buttocks, feet, thighs, and neck. He ate them either raw or cooked, even admitting that he swallowed her clitoris whole due to her being on her period at the time and him not liking the smell of menstrual blood. He saved and preserved other parts in his refrigerator. Sagawa also took photographs of Hartevelt's body at each eating stage. Once the remains of her body that he did not consume started decomposing, Sagawa attempted to dump the remains of Hartevelt's corpse in a lake in the Bois de Boulogne park, carrying her dismembered body parts into suitcases. He was caught in the act and arrested by French police 4 days later. Sagawa's wealthy father provided a lawyer for his defense, and after being held for 2 years awaiting trial, Sagawa was found legally insane and unfit to stand trial by the French judge, Jean-Louis Bourgier, who ordered him held indefinitely in a mental institution. Japanese author Inuhiko Yamata visited Sagawa and published an account of the murder and its aftermath in Japan under the title In the Fog. Sagawa's subsequent publicity likely contributed to the French authorities' decision to deport him to Japan, where he was immediately committed to Matsuzawa Hospital in Tokyo. His examining psychologists all declared him sane and found sexual perversion was his sole motivation for murder. As the charges against Sagawa in France had been dropped, the French court documents were sealed and were not released to the Japanese authorities. Consequently, Sagawa could not be legally detained in Japan. Sagawa checked himself out of the hospital on the 12th of August 1986 and subsequently remained a free man until his death. In 1992, Sagawa appeared in Hisayasu Sato's exploitation film Uwakizuma Chichokuzume, direct translation Unfaithful Wife, Shameful Torture, as a sadomasochistic voyeur. Sagawa wrote books about the murder he committed, as well as a shonen, a book on the 1997 Kobe child murders. Sagawa also wrote restaurant reviews for the Japanese magazine Spa. He could no longer find publishers for his writing and he struggled to find employment. Sagawa was nearly accepted by a French language school because the manager was impressed by his courage in using his real name, but employees protested, and justly, and he was rejected. In 2005, Sagawa's parents died, and he was prevented from attending their funeral, but repaid their creditors and moved into public housing. Sagawa received welfare benefits for a time. In an interview with Vice magazine in 2011, Sagawa said that being forced to make a living while being known as a murderer and cannibal was a terrible punishment. In 2013, Sagawa was hospitalized from a cerebral infraction which permanently damaged his nervous system. He later lived alone and needed daily assistance, which was provided by his younger brother or from caregivers. At the time, he claimed to have regretted the obsession. Sagawa died from complications of pneumonia at a hospital in Tokyo on the 24th of November 2022 at the age of 73. It is a travesty how this vile man managed to roam the streets a free man after a legal mishap, after having committed one of the most heinous crimes. Rest in peace to Renee Hartevelt, and thank you for watching.